Coming up this week on Montclair News Lab, we take a look at a new company who makes it easier to check the credibility of your news sources.
I think what hurts people is if they're consuming information that is either wrong or has an agenda that isn't disclosed.
And later, we go behind the scenes of our Focus Immigration special.
After we finished the Focus Immigration Project, our 2-hour live broadcast, everybody was so happy.
Those stories and more coming up now. From the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University, this is Montclair News Lab. Just saying. Hello and welcome to Montclair News Lab. From the School of Communication and Media, I'm Shayla Baez.
And I'm James Coffey. Each week we scour campus, Montclair, and New Jersey to bring you news and stories we'll be talking about all week.
We start today with a look at fake news and how to combat it. But first, how do you know that your news comes from a reputable source? Amanda Eustace starts us off.
Fake news originally meant news that was untrue, that came from disreputable sources. Then President Trump changed its meaning to news from mainstream news organizations that he disagreed with.
We are fighting the fake news. Fake news media. It was fake news. Fake news back then.
Professor Thomas Franklin at the School of Communication and Media says social media sites like Facebook and Twitter have made it harder for users to know where their news originated.
I think that if somebody is linking to or commenting on or promoting a story that has not been vetted, has not been researched, or does not come from a reputable news source, I think fake news can really be circulated very widely and very effectively.
In order to tackle this issue, one startup called NewsGuard works to determine whether a news site is reliable or not. It hires journalists to come up with a nutrition label, if you will, for every major news source. NewsGuard's editorial director, Eric Efron, says it's all designed to help people understand what they are consuming.
So we really try to dissect what are we really talking about. Are these false claims? Is this misinformation? Is this disinformation? Is it propaganda? And rather than get caught up on kind of name calling, oh, that's fake news, we actually try to describe what is wrong.
Here's what a green rating looks like. It follows all the basic standards of accuracy and accountability in journalism. Red sites like this one do not. Perhaps another problem is the lack of transparency between the public and the media, this leaving many people wondering if what they're consuming is fact or opinion.
I think what hurts people is if they're consuming information that is either wrong or has an agenda that isn't disclosed.
Many prominent journalists worry that this attack on the very essence of journalism by President Trump and others causes damage.
This notion of demonizing journalism, demonizing institutions that are fundamental to our nation, I think is dangerous.
We live in a time when there's a lot of challenge to journalism, a lot of name calling. Some of the most powerful people in our country are saying news is not to be trusted. I don't believe that's true, but I don't think journalists can afford to be intimidated.
NewsGuard and other approaches are working to answer the question, is this real news, fake news, or quote-unquote fake news? From Montclair News Lab, this is Amanda Eustace.
As we've been reporting for weeks now, the School of Communication and Media here at Montclair State has been taking a deep dive into immigration. Students recently produced a series of events, including a live broadcast, a colloquium, and a targeted social media campaign. Producer Talon Lauriello has the behind-the-scenes look at Focus Immigration.
This is Focus Immigration.
Focus Immigration is our deep dive into immigration, all sides.
So there's a lot of things going on April 10th. We're going to have a live show. We're also doing a colloquium, which will bring in students and faculty who've worked on this project to talk collectively about their project.
We're also looking at using every resource of the School of Communication and Media, including all of our students, in as many different ways as possible.
We came up with this idea of a thunderclap, the idea of publishing stories across all the platforms in the School of Communication and Media and doing it simultaneously so that we would achieve impact. The one thing that unites every aspect of this project is really the hashtag.
With hashtag Focus Immigration, We are trying to get people to join in on the conversation about sharing their own immigration story. I think it's important to have everyone who is in America and who lives in America feel welcome.
My immigrant story is that the Montclarian is coming out with a special edition to highlight immigrant stories here at Montclair State University. My favorite part of that is the opinion section, which features different stories from first-generation students as well as students with long immigration ties. You can read the Montclarian here.
Our country is embroiled in discussions, sometimes arguments about immigration, and we're trying to bring together all sides and have rational conversations and look at all kinds of immigrant stories.
Welcome back to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I'm Frankie Perez. As a second-generation Cuban-American immigrant myself and a student at this school, I am thankful for being able to work on this project and sharing these stories with you.
Right now, we're getting ready for the broadcast. The control room down the hall is filled with last-minute preparations. Our anchor team is getting ready. We have people on cameras. We have a research team. We have a social media team. We are locked and ready to load.
The students were the ones that came up with the idea of immigration as the topic. They wanted to drill down on some of the stories.
We've done a lot of original reporting for the show. In fact, one of our student reporters, Louis Biondolillo, recently went down to Washington to do an exclusive interview with who Politico calls the most important new congresswoman in Congress.
Mikey Sherrill has strong beliefs when it comes to the topic of immigration, and as a reporter, I thought it would be important to bring her views and share them with people through Focus Immigration.
This really has been a fully run by student production. One of our senior producers, Sam Easterday, has been involved in the project since the beginning.
I see myself sort of as like the supporting director role. I'm basically setting up whatever next segment is going to come up for the director, and then the director is more in charge of calling the show and making sure that the show looks visually good.
After we finished the Focus Immigration Project, our 2-hour live broadcast, everybody was so happy.
We were trending on Twitter, is that true? Yeah? Give yourselves a thunderclap for that.
I think it's true that at schools like ours, you learn a lot in the classroom, but really where a lot of the focused learning, some of the exciting stuff, takes place when students are willing to do things outside of the classroom.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
We're joined by Dr. Keith Shudler, the director of the School of Communication and Media here at Montclair State. Dr. Shudler, thank you for coming on with us. Why is the Focus Immigration Project so important to the school?
So there's a lot of reasons why a project like what we did here in the school on immigration was really important. I think first and foremost is it brought all of these different assets from across the school, from the radio station to people who are working here in the news lab to the Montclarian to students across all of our different majors to come together to do collaborative storytelling. And I think not only do we take on an issue of real importance, and I think, so if you were to take a number two, it's we attacked an issue that's really vital and important globally, and I think, and certainly in this country, it's something that's on the forefront of everyone's mind. So I think the topical side of it is very relevant as well. But as a learning experience, getting people from public relations to work with the journalists, to work with the the storytellers from television and film, to work with the people who are doing research, to get all of those people together to tell one cohesive, coherent story, that's the world that you all are going to be working in. And in some ways, you're almost ahead of where some of the journalistic and media organizations are, because you're able to experiment. One of the joys of being at a university is we're able to do things without worrying about our numbers or our profits.
Yeah.
And so you're able to experiment. And we had Andrew Hayward from CBS News here recently at the school talking about what drives kind of news decisions. And it's usually, what are the numbers? How do we make money? We're not going to change as long as this is going well. And I think that's how you have to operate as a business. But when you're a school, when we're trying to kind of figure out the best ways to do things and the most effective and the most innovative ways to tell stories and to really get deep into topics and issues, I think we have the luxury of being able to experiment and try new things. And hopefully you'll take that kind of skill set into the real world and go into newsrooms and television networks and PR agencies and innovate. And so, I think that really is the joy of what we did.
It's better to mess up for us now while we're not being paid and the job is on the line. So
life is a series of mistakes, right?
Thank you so much for being with us here today, Dr. Strudler.
Absolutely.
Each week we get an update from our friends at the Montclarian. Let's check in on what they're up to this week.
Hi, I'm Anthony Gabinelli, and I'm the sports editor of the Montclarian, and I'm here to show you how to join the Montclarian. Are you interested in writing? Do you want to do photography? Or do you even want to be a part of our video team? It's all easy and simple in how to join. You open the front page of your newspaper here, and you have a list of all the staff emails and stuff that you can contact us with. We also have meetings every Wednesday, 2:30 p.m., and it's in that room over there. Or you can meet us in our office. Here I am, in front of the office. We have a big sign, the Montclarian. Do your clubs and organizations have that? Probably not. Do your clubs and organizations have a rope? Nope. They don't. We do. If you want to get in contact with us to join the newspaper because you're interested in writing, doing photography, or video, contact us through our email, which you can check in front here again. Or come knock on this door here. Don't be like, oh, someone's at the door, we'll come in and open it. Like I'm about to do with my ID, which I also use as a key for this door. But that's how you can contact us and become a member of the Montclarian. Back to you guys at the desk, at the studio.
Make sure to pick up the new edition of the Montclarian every Thursday. Nice feet, Austin, but I think you need a manicure.
Anyway, from journalism to cartoons, reporter Hannah Wilson recently interviewed a New Jersey artist who makes his living painting Felix the cat. Hannah explains.
From a time before Mickey Mouse, Felix the cat has been around since 1919. Joe Oriolo modernized the black and white cartoon and pushed its success in popular culture. After his passing in 1985, son Don Oriolo took over the legacy. Local artist and musician, Don already had a strong connection to Felix since he was a child.
When my father was doing the model charts for Felix, he'd have me pose. He'd go, Donald, do this. So I would do that. Then he would sketch Felix using me as the model.
Oriolo has many talents and skills. However, his quirky Felix the Cat art is his #1 tool in coping with the struggles of life.
I always painted. I've been painting my whole life. I started when I was 5 years old. Watercolors. I used to do scenery. I would do like one a day, and at least one a day. I had stacks and stacks of things,
Don Oriolo owns Zazu Gallery in Key West, which showcases some of his proudest pieces. His artwork is both a display of unconditional love for Felix and a form of therapy for the artist.
I lost my brother and sister in a 1-week period that really, really threw me off because we were a very close family. And the only thing that helped me through it, I just started painting incessantly. I stayed in my house. I painted on every canvas, every piece of paper. I was painting on the walls, and I did it for weeks. I was just like incommunicado. So I made this sort of verbal, actually, promise to my brother and sister after they passed away. I said, I'm going to paint at least one painting a day for you for the rest of my life.
Don Oriolo plans to keep the character alive in his artwork until the day he dies.
We'll keep going and going, and as Felix would say, radio!
From Montclair News Lab, I'm Hannah Wilson.
Each week we end our show with the photo of the week. This week's photo comes from Chanila Germán. The photo was taken right here at Montclair State during a taping of Carpe Diem.
I like that photo.
I do.
Cute selfie.
I think it gives me Broadway feelings.
I think you need to work on your selfie game compared to them.
You're right.
Follow us on social media, on Twitter at MSU News Lab, Instagram at Montclair News Lab, and you already know on Facebook at Montclair News Lab.
You can also watch and catch up with us on our website, montclairnewslab.tv.
Thank you for joining us here at the Montclair News Lab. I'm James Coffey.
And I'm Shayla Baez.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't bring it up.